There are symbols all around us, and they operate as mirrors into our subconscious, into aspects we haven't been able to see. And this week, I have the honor of speaking with Dina Berrin about how she utilizes symbols to know thyself and to increase our self trust and intuition. So I invite you in as we have this powerful conversation. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey, as my work is to bridge both the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to I'm Perfectly Divine podcast. As you can see, I have a special guest with me today. Today, I have the pleasure of being with Dina Berrin. And let me tell you a little bit about Dina. Dina is an intuitive guide. She is a certified life coach, and she is the author of The Way Within: Igniting Your Intuition with Sacred Tools. And that is what we are going to be getting into. It's going to be a juicy conversation because Dina loves to bring forward these tools, whether it's tarot, numerology, charms, and really to support you, not to predict the future, but to reconnect with your intuition and trust your inner wisdom. And so as we begin, I'm going to invite you to just take a moment and look around at your surroundings, because your surroundings are filled with symbolism right now. You may have a candle, like I have a candle, and that you look at that candle and it brings you a sense of inner peace. You may have crystals. You may have a picture of a loved one. All of this has certain symbols that ignites something for you to remember. And that's what Dina and I want to have a conversation with you about, how we can expand upon the symbols that are all around us, bring forward more symbolism into our lives, and see how it can help us know and trust our inner guidance more deeply. So welcome, Dina, and welcome to this powerful conversation.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I was really intrigued when you shared about the different ways that you bring forward symbolism for people, and and it comes from so many different avenues. So I'd love to hear more about your story, like what even got you into utilizing all these different forms of symbolism in your life.
Well, I feel as though my story starts out with my grandmother. My grandmother introduced me to astrology when I was maybe like 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, and so I feel as though I've always had a curiosity, an interest, like anything in the world of divine really interested me. Like I remember growing up in New Jersey and being on the boardwalk down in like the Atlantic City area, and there would be palm readers on the boardwalk, and I would ask my mom, "Can we get a palm reading?" And she's like, "No, keep walking," kind of thing. We're not going to stop for all this. But I was always aware of it, and I was always interested in it. And so my grandmother kind of piqued it in the beginning, but then due to it, I was working a crazy job after I had graduated from college, and I just needed to do something that wasn't my work. And I found an intro to tarot class, which kind of opened the door. I mean, the tarot cards are filled with symbolism, and I felt as though in order to learn the cards, and the teachers that I worked with at the time were very much interested in not only teaching us the meanings, but teaching us the numbers and the colors and the symbols in the card and the titles of the card. So all of a sudden, I was opening myself up to not just learning like a textbook version of things, but trusting my version of what I saw and like kind of like turning into my body and being like, well, how do I feel when I see this? And then giving insight or information either to myself or to, clients that I'm working with based on these intuitive feelings, these experiences that I would have. So it's funny. I mean, originally I started just working. I was originally just with the tarot and astrology, and then learning about numerology. But what I discovered is, people already know the answers they're searching for. They just don't trust that inner voice. They need to learn how to do that. And all these tools, they're really mirrors. They're mirrors. They slow things down. They help people see what's already happening inside of them. And then over the years, I began to blend those intuitive tools with coaching because the coaching allowed me to dig in a little bit more to the personal development side of things, helping people navigate decisions, life transitions, and those moments when they feel stuck, between what they've been doing and what they're becoming. So, and this is what ultimately led me to writing the book, The Way Within, because that's really about helping people reconnect with their own intuition and realizing the guidance that they're looking for is often already there within them. All you need to do is see the signs.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I wrote down a couple of things that really jumped out to me.
Yeah.
First of all, was you really tune into how do I feel? And I love that you are utilizing your emotions as a guide, as support to your intuitive knowing. Um,
Hmm.
when so often there is this messaging around emotions that we should elevate above them. So do you have any insight or what is your take on that when in regards to your relationship with emotion?
Well, I'm going to connect emotion to story
Mm,
because I feel as though we all have stories. Like our lives are made up of stories. Like, and I feel that also the stories are what we tell ourselves. Like, so for example, if when you were a little girl, um, you were riding your bike and you fell off and skinned your knee, maybe you associate bike riding with a skin knee. Like you associate bike riding with pain. So maybe like years later, when someone says to you, "Hey, Michelle, do you want to go bike riding?" And you're like, "Ooh, I don't want to go." Like, and like your story that you told yourself from long ago is when I ride a bike, I fall down and hurt myself. And then you're like, no, I don't want to go bike riding. So I feel as though very often the stories that we form in our lives connect to our emotions and then they affect our decisions.
right.
And our stories are, these show up in so many different ways. Stories show up in our dreams, stories show up in symbols. And, there's a lot of things like that, just our childhoods are connected to stories and emotions and feelings. Like maybe you get a feeling from a smell, like if your mom was always baking and that always made you feel good when you came home, you're like, oh, chocolate chip cookies that she made just for me. And then maybe when you walk through the mall and you see the Mrs. Fields, and you smell the chocolate chip cookies, it brings back that feeling of home. And then that
Yes.
emotion of like, oh, I miss my mom, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like very often our emotions are connected to the stories and, it's
Yes.
all one. That's
Intertwined.
how I see it.
I love it. I love it because what I'm hearing is that either way, we want to listen to the emotion because it's going to give us insight about what stories we are telling ourselves. And then from there, we can decide, are these stories serving us or not? And so this really bridges into then how you use symbolism, because as you said two other things that I wrote down. First of all, that these symbols can be mirrors. And second of all, the important thing that people know the answers. And I so agree with that. And I love that you feel that way, because it's not like you and I are trying to, put ourselves up on a pedestal saying we have the answers. It's really about guiding others to continue to trust yourself, tune into the emotions so you can hear the story, and then from there really bring forward, well, what aspect of this story serves me and what might not. So
Yeah.
I know you really take a personal angle when symbols come forward for someone. And you have a story about the symbol of an anchor. And I think that could be a beautiful way to kind of explain this to others. Do you mind sharing more about that?
Yeah, well, first, I'm just going to give a little bit of an intro to I work with symbols in a lot of different ways. And sometimes I work with cards, and there are a million symbols in the cards. But because of when I do a lot of parties and events here in New York City, and sometimes I work with adults, which is great. You can use the cards with them. But sometimes, every now and again, I get a children's party that I do work for. And so the incarnation, like the way that this whole way of reading began was because I was asked to do a children's party, and I realized that I could not bring my tarot deck with like the death card and the devil card. I could not bring that to a children's party. So I quickly went down to the fashion district down here in New York City, and I started buying like buttons and like little charms and things that I could put in like a bowl, and the kids could pick them, and then we could like make a story together, so to speak. So anyway, I created charm readings, and these charm readings are basically like what these charms are is like how you might wear something around your neck, and like so somebody that really like I'm wearing a heart around my neck now. What are you wearing around your neck, Michelle?
Yeah, this is a symbol for Mary Magdalene, the union in the of the heart of the above and the below.
Okay, so that's meaningful to you. Like,
Yeah.
so for somebody, like I've seen people wear, like if some people like to go sailboat riding, maybe they'll have a sailboat charm. People have a tennis racket. Like you could have any charm, people just like for what you like to do, kind of thing. Some people have the initials of their children, it's like all different things. So basically, that is what is in my charm kit. And the reason why I call them charms is because each of these charms has a little circle where you could like attach it to a bracelet or hang it from your necklace. And so, anyway, the story that you are asking is so I had a client who I was doing a charm reading for. And once again, how people interpret symbols is very different. Like everyone's interpretation is different. So what I did is for this one client, we pulled the anchor. And the first thing she said to me was, "Nope, the anchor has no meaning for me. I have no connection to it. This is the wrong charm for me. This is the wrong symbol. I have no connection. It doesn't mean anything to me." So I said to her, "Okay, that's fine that you think that. I'm not going to judge you for that, but would you just do me a favor and humor me? Well, I have a few questions that we go through. Would you be okay with just answering these questions and like seeing if we can find something?" Which I knew we would. Anyway, so she said yes. And so the first thing was I asked her, like, how does an anchor work in the world? And she said to me, "Oh, well, either you can drop anchor when you're in a boat and it stops you in place, or you pull up the anchor and then you can go wherever you want." And I said, "Oh, so what I'm hearing is either you feel held in place, which can sometimes feel like being stuck." I said, "or you can be free to go, which can sometimes in a boat feel as though you're a bit adrift." I said, "So can we just kind of turn the tables a little bit and kind of step away from the actual anchor and the actual boat and talk to maybe you in your life? Where are you feeling stuck or held in place? Or where are you feeling adrift?"
Ooh, I love this. And I just want to interrupt for a moment
Yeah.
just for everyone who's listening that, maybe you thought when Dina said anchor, you had your own experience of an anchor. And this is what we're talking about is that we're each going to have our own experiences. And yet there's some commonalities. And so whether it's a boat or where Dina was taking her with her life coaching skills, with her skills on symbolism, which is how could this have deeper what I'm hearing is like a psychological layer of being anchored in or drifting. So I just want to bring that forward for people and just keep in the back of your mind what your own experiences with anchor. So that's beautiful. So go ahead.
Yeah, and what does an anchor mean to you? Like it doesn't have like it's funny because I have a connection to an anchor, and to me the anchor means hope. So I mean, but it also can mean feeling rooted. It also can mean feeling adrift. It can mean a lot of different things. So it doesn't have to mean one thing. But what I'm trying to do is get a message for you, getting an idea. Like let's get an idea of how maybe you can move forward. So
And
anyway, when
I'll just say, like
go
when the
ahead.
anchor comes up for me, it's
Yeah.
tied to Mary Magdalene. So I have a very deep connection with Mary Magdalene, and it is one of her symbols. It's an anchor cross. And so it's just right. So this is what we're saying is that it can have so many different aspects to individuals, and yet there's a way to take that insight of what comes forward for you and bring forward this meaning that your conscious mind may not be aware of. So yes, I'll stop interrupting. Share
No,
what
that's
happens
great.
with
That's
this
great.
woman.
So anyway, when I kind of rephrased it for her, I could see her whole, her facial expression and her whole posture changed, and she said, "Oh my goodness." She said, "I feel completely adrift in my career." She
Mm,
said, she's like, "I've been in a job that is just," she said, I don't get to speak up in meetings. I don't get to give my opinion on anything." She says, "I just feel like I'm there and I'm just drifting." And I said, "Okay, thank you for sharing that." Now we found out how the anchor is connected to you. Once again, it's not necessarily the boat type of anchor, it's just the message of the symbolism, which told you a story. And so, and then I had, and then the question is, what advice, if this anchor could speak and it came here, right now, because, you didn't pull this by mistake, you pulled this on purpose. What is the message of the anchor? And the
ooh, that's
message was that she needed to get herself somewhere where she felt anchored. And clearly, it wasn't where she was in her career.
yeah. I love that. I love that. If this symbol could speak to you, what would it what I say that again, Dina?
What would it say? Like
What would
what
it
what
say?
advice? What little? I always say it could fit on a fortune cookie size message. Like it doesn't have to be like a big long speech or tome of a book. It's like what is the thing that this anchor like it showed up with a message? What is the message? And
Mm,
I'm not giving you the message because, you know yourself better than anyone. And I
yes.
can come up, I mean, listen, I'm happy to add to it. I think
Yeah.
we're going to do a little charm reading in a minute, so we'll riff on it. But I feel as though the message that you receive is the most authentic message that you need to hear right now. It's coming from you, and
Mm,
it's coming from that intuitive place, unfiltered.
right. Right. What I love about the charms is that, like you said with the tarot, is that some people get scared with like the death card and, the tower and so forth. But the charms really feel like it's a great way to start to integrate symbolism and not have it feel so heavy. And like you said, it's not about predicting the future, but to help you get to know yourself more and to be a mirror. Can you share more about other tools that you might use as an aspect to help people have a mirror through these symbols?
Well, I mean, all of the tools, I mean, tarot is a mirror, charms are a mirror, dreams are a mirror. Like everything is really a mirror if you're willing to engage with it. What I really like, I mean, well, first of all, tarot, um, it just gives us a chance. So tarot gives us a picture, and each of these cards are like archetypes. So they have so there's like the emperor who's like the masculine male, and there's the empress who's like the feminine woman who's all about, nature and love and all this stuff. So it's like, what are you picking up on? And so you can use the cards to look at an image and see like what in this image, is it a color, is it is it her crown, is it a tree, is it a bird, like what in the card is pulling you in. And once again, just like the charm, what is the message? Like you don't need to like know the entire meaning of the card in order to get a message
Wow.
from, and you don't need to be a tarot expert in order to notice that there's a lot of yellow in this card or there's a lot of green in this card. Like each color has different meaning as well. I mean, I have my own interpretations of color. And
Yep.
once again, I'm always willing to share that. But like, so if there's a lot of yellow, yellow to me is like, it's the color of sunlight. And what happens when there's a lot of sunlight? It's like there's clarity, like you can see. And I
Mm,
feel as though like yellow to me is focus, it's intention, and it's like movement forward. It's very like yellow to me isn't like yellow's like a lemon yellow isn't like sitting on the sidelines.
yeah.
It's like bright and it's up front and it's saying, let's move, kind of thing. Green is about growth and it's about expansion. And sometimes green can be about envy. It depends how you see it. But sometimes when somebody picks up on color, I'll be like, oh, so how is that showing up for you? What does this color mean to you in this situation? And like, what if there's no right or wrong? What
Right.
if there's just what you felt from your inner voice?
So this brings up for me when you're doing a reading with tarot,
Mhm.
do you feel like the cards coming forward are a combination of what this person is bringing forward and your interpretation? Because I feel like when I'm thinking of Tyler Henry. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's like I think that's his name, but he's a medium that can bring forward um,
Yeah,
people who have passed and make connections. But he gets symbolism that is symbolic to him and then interprets it for other people. What I
yeah.
hear you saying, it feels like you're pulling from others. What does yellow mean for you? But then you like, is the card also coming forward because you may have an interpretation about the yellow that they're meant to hear? What's your sense about that?
Well, usually what I do is when I pull cards, I like information just kind of comes to me, and I feel as though I'm not saying to you like this is 100% accurate kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what? I'm like, you know what? When this card comes up, I remember when I read for one of my girlfriends, she really wanted a reading from me, and she came over, and I turned over a card, and that card was a card of pregnancy, but I didn't know if she was pregnant or not. So I said to her, when this card comes up, it sometimes can mean pregnancy. And she was like, I knew you'd see it. I knew you'd see it. Like wanted to tell me that she was pregnant, but she wanted
Oh,
to know if I saw it first. But I don't want to say to someone, you're pregnant, because I don't know if that's the case. It could have other meanings. Like there is not just one meaning for the card. And sometimes the card combinations either point you in a direction or lead you somewhere. I mean, also, for example, like if you see, like, say you pull three cards and all three of the cards are the same number. Like for like you pull like three fours, or you pull like, it's like if you
yeah.
start seeing repeated information, that's where I start noticing patterns. And that's a lot of what, I mean, that's how life works too. Like if somebody says to you, "Oh, hey, I just read a great book," and they give you the name of the book, and then, you go to the store and that book is like right front and center at the store. And then like, a friend calls you the next day and say, I just picked up this book. Have you heard about it? And you're like, that is so weird. I've heard about this book now 3 times in a span of like one day. What's
Mm.
up with this book? Maybe I need to read it, kind of thing. So I feel like when you start getting repeated messages, that is a clue that you should kind of just pay attention.
And I would add that it's really our opportunity to tap into the magic of life because this isn't a coincidence, but it's our perception that can either, keep kind of pushing away these symbols, these signs, or we can we can open ourselves to receive more of the guidance. And that to me is the magic of life. And so when people desire to bring forward more insight or deeper connection, is there like an initial way that you guide people that can feel easier for them to step into?
Well, I feel as though in order, like if you are looking to become more involved in using intuitive tools and becoming more intuitive, how you do that is you just have to be consistent
Mm,
in a practice. And you can start just by noticing, just by paying attention. Like you said, when you started out the podcast introduction, you said, look around. Like, do you have a candle? Maybe you have a crystal. Maybe there's something that's calling your attention. And it can start as easily as just paying attention to what's around you. What do you surround yourself with? What makes you feel at ease in the world? Are you someone that likes to be out in nature? Are you someone that needs to be near water? Like, what is it that pulls you? And then once you find out what that is, that's where you find your maybe a baseline state where you can be more willing to receive, kind of messages that are happening around you. And and then if you would like to take it from there, then I mean, there's a lot of different ways, I mean, that you can learn many, many
right.
different tools. I mean, you can find there are tarot decks, there are oracle decks, there are Lenormand decks, there are charms, there are runes, there's human design. There's a million
All of
different
it.
ways to
Yes.
turn inward. You just need to find what it is that interests you. And then like going to the gym and building a muscle there, you need to do that consistently to create a practice.
Yes, and what I hear is to develop a relationship, right? Like you're
Yes.
connecting energetically with whatever the tool is in order to create deeper connection and understanding. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because I mean, I think that everyone has intuition.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we all always trust it. So most of us are taught to rely almost entirely on logic. But intuition works a little bit differently. It's quieter. It shows up as feelings. It shows up as a pattern. It's a little bit more subtle. So
Yep.
when people start working with tools like tarot or dreams or symbols, they begin to recognize those signals.
Yeah.
And once again, that happens because people realize that their intuition has been speaking to them the whole time, but they just haven't been aware of how to listen.
Right. And I will say the reason why there's so many different tools is because, first of all, as Dina's saying, you part of the process is tuning in enough to say what interests me, what is drawing me in. And I believe from personal experience that we can outgrow tools because we've learned what we're meant to learn, or maybe the outgrowing is temporary. The outgrowing, maybe that's not the best word, but because I don't want to make it feel like it's hierarchical, but it's just I think sometimes my own experience is here's the tool and now you've gained the intuition, now practice your intuition on your own. So I also want to honor that for people that this can be a bridge, and then sometimes it's to say okay, now do it without the tools, and then maybe you'll come back to an old tool, or maybe you'll find a different tool. That all of this is to guide us to bring forward these different threads of remembrance or of our power, of our truth, of our love, so that we can weave a life that feels good to us, that we remember and embody the love that we came here to be. And it
I love
reminds me,
that.
I did pull a quote from the Gospel of Philip. This is one of the ancient texts from the Nag Hammadi. And in the Gospel of Philip, it says, truth did not come into the world naked, but in symbols and images. And that's what I love about ancient texts, is because they've got all these stories that our minds can make them try to literally mean something, but they're often in parables for those with ears to hear. And so there's a different layer that these tools are giving us the practice to understand ourselves and to understand the workings of the universe or the higher mind or love or however you want, or God, or however you want to look at that, so that we can integrate that into our lives. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Dina.
Yeah, absolutely. But and also like I know that like for example, like when I started studying tarot, I almost feels like there's like a gateway. And then what happens is once you kind of get in through the gate, you start learning about other things. Like for me, you know, my grandmother introduced me to astrology, but then I found tarot on my own. And within the tarot there are numbers. So then I started studying. I always kept continued with tarot, but then I'm like, well, I got to study numbers. And then I'm like, well, I have to go study the astrological associations to the cards because it helped me know the card better. And then I started speaking at conferences, and at the conference, I remember really being drawn to one speaker who was talking about palmistry. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to do palm readings. So I feel as though sometimes what happens is the whatever you are interested in just naturally kind of like a door opens, or like it leads you down a path and you're like, oh, there's more, and you can continue it, or you can say, you know what, I'm happy just doing what I do right here. But there's a lot of different ways, and I feel that all of these are doors to figure out how to communicate better with yourself and find the one that works for you. But if you want to continue the learning, like I consider myself a forever student. I teach, but at the same time, I'm a student in that classroom, and I like to sit right in front and take all the notes and ask all the questions because curiosity is, I feel like, the key to everything.
All right. So, in all transparency, I just had a coughing attack. And so we, we cut that part out so you didn't have to hear me coughing. But I'm curious. For me, coughing has symbolism. So we're just going to bring this right in here. So, for me, there is something that needed to be cleared out. There's something with communication. Does anything arise for you, Dina, that I had this coughing attack?
Yeah, well, I feel as though I'm a big believer also that everything kind of plays
Lead.
out in the
Yeah.
conversation. So, is there something that you wanted to say? Is there something more? Like, coughing to me is like clearing the throat, and the throat chakra is about speaking up.
Yeah.
So, is there something else you wanted to say?
Not that I'm aware of. So that was the interesting thing. I mean, I was totally going along with what you were sharing, and I find it very valuable. So, but it's interesting. I think what also comes up for me is like, is there a more like a bigger clearing that is happening where we can receive these symbols, we can receive these messages with less fear. Because I think that we've been taught, and for many people, that we've been taught that to fear some of this stuff, as we shared before, to fear the death card, to fear the tower, when really these are, I'm sure it depends on who is doing the reading, but I really understand them as ways that we are breaking free. And so I'm just kind of riffing on this, like what's coming forward, but it's also, I think, where we can get so connected to symbols that they've got to be positive. We fear the destruction, but that's often where we find the gold. And so if there has been any way that you have been afraid of trying certain um, aspects of working with symbols, or you've had freaky dreams that freak you out, whatever it is, just know that those aspects that seem at first like something to be terrified of, what I have found is the gateway to greater freedom. And it's through the symbols that they're helping us work through this on a subconscious level so that we know that we are prepared, so that we know that we can find our way forward. And so that's what's coming forward for me. I don't know if
Yeah. Yeah.
anything
Well,
more has come forward for you.
the first thing I'm hearing is like follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And I feel, I wanted to address a little bit of like misconception right
Mm,
now because we are taught things when we are younger, and sometimes it's funny, like for example, my father never wanted me to eat maraschino cherries. He's like, they're fake. They have the red dye. And, it's like my father, like, he was like, they're poison. Like he had convinced me that maraschino cherries should like never, ever be eaten. And like literally, I had never eaten a maraschino cherry. And I remember on my 40th birthday, one of my friends who I had told the story that I had never eaten a maraschino cherry, she said to me, we need to change that. So on my 40th birthday, she bought me a jar of maraschino cherries and she said to me, you may like it, you may not like it, but at least you've tried it, kind of thing. So I felt like I tried it and I said, you know, I felt like it was fine. I mean, I felt like, you know what? I don't think I've missed out on that much, but I felt that in my head, I had told myself so many bad things about these cherries that it was actually hard for me to put it in my mouth at first. It was kind of like hard for me to actually go forward because of a misconception that my
yeah.
father had put in my head that it was poison. And I think for tarot, we can say the same thing. Like people think that tarot predicts the future. And in some ways, people do use it that way, but many experienced readers that I know don't see the tarot in that way. The tarot shows the energy of the present moment, the patterns that are unfolding right now. And when you see those patterns clearly, you can make better choices. So instead of predicting the future, tarot is actually helping whoever is being read create a different future. So it's kind of like saying, you know what? I know that you see this as one path, but what if we hit a fork in the road and you could either follow this path or here's a different perspective. Here's a different way of looking at it. And with this different perspective, at this fork in the road, do you still want to take that path or do you want to take a different route?
Right.
That is your choice. So, what tarot does is it opens up the opportunity for you to make a different choice.
Love it. Love it. This is fascinating. So I love what you're saying about misperception and bringing up tarot, bringing up things that if you've been in a traditional upbringing that we've been, even for me growing up, like astrology was like, woo, you're doing something out there. Boy, how far I have come. But the what stood out to me was what we were talking about with misperception. And when I had my coughing fit, I'm like, of course, apologizing to Dina because you don't want that happening during an interview, right? But what came forward was the gift in it. So it's like we're taught in ways like, oh my gosh, coughing bad, during a podcast, of course. But I feel like it broke up something. I feel like, at least for me, it broke up this dynamic between like, I'm interviewing Dina and la la la. And I feel like it broke us up into just more like connection, communication, like dialoguing. And so even that, even like coughing during an interview is bad. It's like we don't know where it's leading us. And so I guess the overall thing is can we trust that sometimes these things that our mind is saying is like not good, not ideal. Maybe there's a deeper reason for it, and we can just like allow our humanness, because that was me just like in my human moment, like this cough is coming and it's not stopping. And but there was a breaking up of energy that was somehow important. I don't, do you feel that, or is that
Yeah,
okay?
I like that. And it's funny because like I think that sometimes in our head we determine things are either good or bad. So
Yeah.
like sometimes like when people say when I pull a card or something, they'll say, "Is that good? Is that bad that I pull that?" And I said, well, is it bad that you have curly hair? Is it bad that you wear a size 10 shoe? Is it bad that you have brown eyes? Like it's what you've been given. Like you can't change these things. And I don't particularly think that anything is bad. I feel like it's all how you approach it. So what if you approach, coughing as it's okay if you cough, and it's okay if you pull this card, and it's okay if you have curly or straight or whatever hair you have. It's all okay. And how maybe that would change something for us if we stopped judging and comparing and worrying about being perfect and instead just went with what is.
Go with what is. I love it. I love it. I love how this just wove itself, and we made a thing out of coughing. See, this is what I mean. Like anything can be symbolic. And it's there. I love playing. I love playing in the energetic field that way.
Yeah,
So, Dina, I know you pulled a charm for us,
I
and I
did.
would love to hear what you pulled for all of us today.
Okay. And I want you to know that how the charms work for your audience is I have like a big tin full of charms. There's about 110 charms in there. And how the charm is chosen is I look the other way. I move my hand around in the tin and then I pick one. So can you see what this is?
Ooh, it looks like a money bag to me.
It is. It is. And so do you want me to ask you the questions or do you want me to, should we read it together? So you already did the first question was, what is this item? And it
Yes,
is a money bag.
money
And
bag.
so the second question is, what is the function and purpose of this item in the world? Like if you had to explain to me, like if I've never seen like this
Mm,
visual of a bag of money, like how would you describe this
mm.
thing to me? So I understood its
What the
use.
money bag represents. For my sense of it is expansiveness, and there is a freedom with the money bag that supports expansive expressions is what comes forward.
I love that. I love that. And do you want me to add in what I see, or do you want me to do the whole thing with you? So, how I see this money bag. So, in the tarot deck, there are four suits, and they are each of the suits represents a different element. And the element of earth is the suit of pentacles, and pentacles represent that which have value.
Mm,
And so, and under that umbrella, could be money, could be, like jewelry or, a fancy car, or like it could be belongings, it could be material things, but
okay.
it also can be immaterial things such as your health, your integrity.
Mm.
Your commitment to being honest, your relationship with your family. So, how I see this money bag is as that which has value. And
Interesting. Love it.
a lot of times people put so much focus on money and what they have. But I feel as though a lot of people walk through the world, with, trying to be, kind of flashy and show what they, what I guess they think the world wants them, what makes them successful in the
Mm,
world.
yeah.
But for me, what makes me feel successful is being surrounded by loved ones. What makes me feel successful is being able to do work that I love.
Yes.
What makes me feel successful is, like you said, having the freedom to learn and to share and have the opportunity to like have conversations like this is all in this bucket for me.
Mm, I love this. Wow, like and to the listeners, it's like this was pulled for you. So I like what really brings value to you. And I love and so Dina was value, mine was expansiveness that comes forward with it. What is it for you? Like value, expansiveness, like it just feels like very like it feels like receiving to me.
And it feels open. It feels like there's no ceiling, there's no walls. Like it feels like there's a lot of spaciousness to move
Ooh,
around.
ooh, yeah. That feels good, really
It
good.
does. It does.
Yeah, yeah,
And it doesn't necessarily have to involve something material, although it could.
yeah. Right, right. Well, I loved in your description, it's like, what do we really value? And
What do we value and why do we value it?
yeah, right.
So, what is so important about these things to you and how do they make your life better?
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. And like you said, and I'm a big believer in the both and. Um, And so I feel both the divine, like the love that we get to experience in life, and the expansiveness in our humanity that our human selves came here to experience. And so, really, it feels like a beautiful intertwining of both.
Yeah.
Um, that that we are here to receive. Um, the blessings of life and whatever those blessings are for you in this moment. um, it feels like a tuning into like a remembrance of our values and our expansiveness together. I don't know, that's what's
Yeah.
coming forward.
I love that. And so now we move to the next step of the reading, and the question is, how are you personally like this item? So how are you like a money bag?
Hmm.
And so for me, I feel as though I want to share value. And I feel as though, Michelle, you are similar in this way. Like you want to give, you're teaching a lot on your podcast. You are sharing wisdom and experience and insight. And you want, I mean, people come here to get value, to feel differently
Hmm.
when they leave. And I also like what I put out there is I am someone who, I feel as though my mom used to joke, she used to call me Miss 5 pounds in a 3 pound bag. I used to like shove more in. So I feel like I feel like my father with the maraschino cherries, my mother with the saying, you're probably like, what kind of family did you grow up in? But the truth is that I really like to over deliver. I like to give, and I honestly feel as though I have a relationship with giving and receiving. Like I feel more comfortable giving
Hmm.
than I do receiving. And maybe that's something that I need to work on. But I feel as though I really like to give value and connect and find meaning. And
Hmm.
that to me is, as I mentioned, this is connected to me, to the element of earth, and that grounds me.
Hmm. I love that. I love that.
So, do you have anything to add?
Oh yeah. What came forward automatically was like the riches of the universe are within us. The riches of the universe are within us. Like
I love that.
it's all right there. And I feel that I every year I mean, as you said, we are students. We are constantly students and I shared in a previous podcast how it my business last year was not how I intended it to be, but what came forward in terms of my inner growth, the blessings of the universe, the love that I've been able to experience is like a bounty I would have never understood in its enormity. And as I shared on the podcast, that previous episode, I can link us back to it, but we get to hold both. And so while I could just stay over here in the spiritual and the love and the expansiveness, which is beyond words, there is still my human self that is uh, open to receiving the expansiveness in the humanness in my human journey, and has in many ways. And um, and so there is this beautiful interweaving, and I just feel like our journey is to allow both and to know that it's already there for us. And it just feels like, I don't know, a journey of, like you said, knowing that you continue to show up in integrity and to deliver value, to bring more value, um, to walk the way of love, as I like to say, and knowing that the universe has us. I just believe the universe is beyond generous. And so even if something isn't present in our human uh, experience in the moment, um, it doesn't mean that there's not cups already full for us that are going to delight us. That I just feel that we are meant to be ecstatic in this life. And it can be difficult when the world is in so much turmoil, but I feel that this is when we want to anchor into this knowingness, because we are meant to reweave something much different than what we've previously known, how we've previously done our human experience. So I look forward to that. I look forward to all the wisdom that comes forward from different teachers like Dina, like myself, like others that are doing this work, that you are drawn to different people to bring forward that value that you need in that moment, that is a bridge to support what is next for you. And we are so interconnected. I love that you said part of this is connection for you, because that's how we're all going to um, raise the value of humanity, I guess, is what comes forward.
I love that. So this leads perfectly to the last question, which is imagine that this money bag could talk.
Hmm.
And it came here today to our conversation because it has a very special message for you. This message could fit on a fortune cookie size piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a big long thing. But what is it that the money bag wants you to know?
Hmm. For me, it just kept saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. So I feel like that is like the generosity of the universe. It's just, you know, remembering how loved we are. We are so honored for being here. We are so honored for the courage that it takes to be human, to navigate through challenges. And I know this is a time where so many people are challenged. And can we remember, rather than back to the tarot, focusing on the spilled cup, which is human, which we're going to do, can we also remember there are cups filled, waiting for us, and guiding us and showing us the way, and we are so loved. There is like a generosity that is overflowing. That's what comes forward for me.
Yeah, and maybe the challenges that you are dealing with right now, and I'm talking to your listeners and I'm talking to, all of us, maybe the things that we're dealing with now are part of the learning, showing us how valuable and how rooted and how connected we all are.
Ooh, so beautiful. Mm, yes. Yes. Ooh, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So what I think is exciting for the listeners is that Dina does these charm readings, and creates charm kits. So I don't know if you want to briefly share about that.
Yeah, I sell these charm kits. They're on my website under Divination Charm Set. And I also do readings. I teach them. And they are what I love about the charms is that they are playful and they are quick and easy. Like, I mean, I know we had a whole long conversation about the money bag, but we could have had a 1 minute conversation, or it could just be you pulling a charm in the morning and you saying, "Oh, here's what it means to me." Like a lot of times when I pull a charm, and I do this every day, I pull a card every day, I pull a charm every day, and I usually leave my charm on my mouse pad
Oh,
next to my computer. And so whenever I put my hand on my mouse or I look over there, it's there looking back at me, and it's a reminder of the message, or sometimes something new will come up. But it's really wonderful, and they're small. So
yes.
I love the charms. And I mean, I just want your readers to know, like, the life is constantly speaking to us through images and patterns and feelings. And when we slow down enough to notice them, they become mirrors. So, these mirrors are powerful because, they help us see parts of ourselves that we might miss when we're running through our day. So if you want to learn more, I mean, I do readings, I sell some of these things, and I mean, you can work with me as a coaching long term, but I do all of this, and you can find it all on my website, which is my name, dinaberrin.com, or you can go Instagram and DM me there. I'm there as Dina Berrin as well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I love this. It just reminds me, like I know, and we tossed around talking about dream interpretation. I love dreams, but I'm thinking, I know so many people say, I don't remember my dreams, and I'm like, well, this could be perfect. You wake up and do the charm instead, and I just, again, any tools that feel called to us, that there's an opportunity to have that mirror to our subconscious and understand ourselves more, and that's what Dina has brought forward for us today. That is her book, what it's all about, to the way within. And I'm always such an advocate that we know ourselves. To know ourselves is what we came here to do, to truly know the truth, love, and power that we are. So thank you, Dina, for being such a gracious guide with us today and sharing your wisdom and love with us. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was super fun, and I love how engaged you were and how much you gave back with your ideas and your insights. I
Hmm.
feel as though it's once you listen to it again, you're going to be picking up on things that maybe we didn't grab onto right now, but really valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone, until next time, know that there is nothing to prove, nothing to fix, just to remember. I'll see you next week.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.